The Iraqi government is set to offer financial compensation to survivors of the 2014 genocide committed by ISIS against the Yazidi community. According to local media, the Yazidi Survivor Law also calls for a state-run department to care for those left behind by ISIS. Advocates call the measure an important first step. In August 2014, ISIS began a violent assault on the Yazidi religious minority. Hundreds of thousands of members were displaced. Nearly 3,000 remain missing. Joining us now from Duhok, Iraq, is Father Joseph Cassar, director of the Jesuit Refugee Service in Iraq, and he's been working there since 2016. Father Cassar, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. Can you tell us a little bit about the Yazidi community and why they were targeted by ISIS?
The Yazidis are a very ancient ethnic religious community. For the most part, they were concentrated around the Sinjar mountain. That's in the northern governorate or province of Nineveh. There's also another concentration around the city of Sheikhan, which is very close to Duhok. Why were they targeted? Well, they are regarded as devil worshippers, which they aren't, so that's a misnomer. And therefore, they bore the brunt of ISIS attacks in 2014. Actually, they endured genocide.
I understand that advocates call the Yazidi Survivors Law an important first step. What do you think about that?
That's very recent. That was only announced yesterday. It's an important step forward, I would say, in efforts to address the consequences of crimes that were committed by ISIS against Yazidis and also against other minority groups. Now, the law focuses primarily on female survivors of conflict-related sexual violence. And there were, of course, many of the survivors of such violence among the Yazidi of conflict violence were indeed women and children. So this is a very important step forward.
Father, can you talk about the Christian communities there and how they're doing and how you're able to help them?
The Christian communities are sadly growing smaller in number. So this has been, their numbers have been decreasing, especially since 2003. And over the past 17 years or so, numbers have gone down to about maybe somewhere like 10 to 15% of the 1.5 million that they used to be before. So that is indeed a very small number. How are they doing right now? It depends where they are located. The Christians who were most affected by the displacement induced by ISIS were the Christians in the Nineveh Plains. And the Nineveh Plains, which is in the vicinity of Mosul, Nineveh is, of course, the place where Jonah was sent to preach conversion. So there is this I would say we're in biblical heartland. The Christian community has been there from antiquity, and they were driven out of their homeland. So the psychological impact has been, of course, very great. But the financial losses, the material losses of people have left many families separated with some members of the family, usually the younger members, who might have ventured abroad beyond Iraq's borders. Quite a few continue to be displaced without any prospect of being definitely resettled in a third country. So they would be refugees or asylum seekers in intermediate countries, Jordan, Turkey, for example, Lebanon. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people.
Well, Father, thank you so much for speaking with us today. Thank you for what you do. We really appreciate it. Father Cassar, Director of the Jesuit Refugee Service in Iraq. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.